And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. We are off to a glorious start because right before we went on the air, Tom Fear, who hasn't been on the show in quite some time, had to drop a Leroy Jenkins. So,
Oh, is that what he said? I didn't even catch
do
it.
this, so just under my breath, I was just like, Leroy.
I was wondering. I couldn't hear what you said.
oh man, I thought, that I don't know how I'm supposed to keep a straight face when that happens, so I just said I'd roll with it and laugh my
You're
ass off.
professional, Anthony. That's how you're supposed to.
I could not man up. Like I said, that is Tom joining us, not trending in LA at the moment, but you never know with his Twitter madness that tends to occur. So Tom, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. How about you?
Oh,
Better than the Lakers.
yeah, just trying to get through the last vestiges of this terrible Lakers season, this era. Hopefully.
I'm going to tell everyone up front, I didn't watch the game, not even 1 second of it, not even one highlight of it. That's the bad news. The good news is no one really wants to talk about that game anyway. It sounds like it sucked.
Exactly. So I guess Harrison, you and I will just really quickly go over the game. Harrison is joining us with about 3 hours of sleep in him, so he might actually. I joked last show about pulling a Windhorst. We might actually lose Harrison a la Brian Windhorst tonight.
Huh?
Exactly. Exactly. Harrison, minus the sleep deprivation and all that comes with that. How are you? What the hell just happened?
I don't know. Okay, that's good that I didn't hallucinate that due to sleep deprivation, but
This podcast is off to a great start.
We are phenomenal.
I thought that maybe something inside like my head exploded, but
Nope. Somebody just got really angry in your house and kicked a door, I would imagine.
yeah, it's something that happens every so often, but at least they showed some fight. I gotta say, more than the Lakers, whoever it was.
Right. I didn't. I'm not gonna. We don't really have to talk much about the game. I just what I walked away from the game was the Pelicans. Fielded. Did they field a single NBA player? Like somebody who would start, or not start, but play on a playoff team?
You mean other than front court god Alexis Ajinka or
Yeah.
Agensta?
28 and 15 tonight.
The guy
Yeah.
said no one knows how to say his goddamn name.
Oh, I'm going with Agenza because then
I
you can
think-
do like, because it's just me against the world.
That's
The
like
jukebox
a
song.
weird C on like the one with like the squiggly under the C.
Like
Yeah.
like the Spanish one, the Barcelona kind of thing, where you say it like a you pronounce it like a th almost, right? Agintha instead of because like Barcelona, the soccer team has that C in it, and you pronounce that C Barcelona basically.
I don't think that's right.
I know I'm positive.
I'm pretty sure Anthony's right, actually.
Yeah, I'm
Never been to
positive.
Barcelona, Anthony.
We're gonna. All right, Rowan, if you're listening, please help me out here. But I'm positive it's Barcelona.
All right. Well, this went off the rails. Just like I mean, can't it really go off the rails if it was never on the rails to start with?
Yeah, we got to get it onto the rails right now. We'll go ahead and talk about the Lakers being down by 20 to the New Orleans Pelicans, who I was going through their, the guys who were hurt with Jen a second ago. And Anthony Davis out, Drew Holiday out, Eric Gordon out, Ryan Anderson out, Tyreek Evans out. That's a starting five. that's probably their best unit. And the Lakers were never really, aside from maybe the first quarter, they were never in the game.
The best unit of a not very good team, by the way.
What's that?
It's the best unit of a not very good team.
Even better, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're still way better than the Lakers.
Yeah, the Pelicans are a glorified D-League team right now. That's right. I'm tired. You're getting cranky, just judgmental Harrison. So the Pelicans are a D-League team right now. The Lakers have completely quit defensively. What little fight they showed earlier in the season, as cliche as that is to say, shout out to Byron Scott, but they just aren't even trying anymore on defense. There's no help. They just die. Like I said on the last podcast, they die on every single screen. Jordan Clarkson just ushers dudes into the lane, just like, oh, would you like to? Is this a better lane for you? Is this a better angle?
Yes. Take this layup.
He actually corrects them to make sure they're taking the proper lane.
Yeah, he's like, whoa, look, you wanna lay it up like this.
We might have help side on this side. Go ahead and go. You gotta go on this one.
Here, let me screen Roy Hibbert for you.
I can't think. Every single year for the last 3 years, I keep thinking to myself, it can't possibly get worse. It can't. There's no way it can get worse, and it literally, record-wise, has gotten worse. But tonight I'm watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, there is no reason to watch right now. Not a single reason. Even Kobe going out being, Kobe's last 3 games or whatever. I made this note while Kobe, because he started the game, he scored 14 points in the first quarter. And as it was going on, earlier on in the year, people, Twitter would have been buzzing a little bit, right? People would have said, oh, look at Kobe go, look at Kobe go, look at Kobe. But tonight I noticed it was a lot more, oh, Kobe scored. That's great. He shot 33 times in the first quarter. And people, I noticed
a lot. It was 11, but okay.
But I noticed a lot more people pointing that out and pointing out, or it was a matter of time. Oh, he's probably going to play too many minutes, and all that. And that's where this Lakers season has taken us. Where even when Kobe is playing well, it's not hard to poke holes in what's going on.
People are completely ambivalent at this point. I think that, Tom, actually, you had a pretty good stance on, how you feel about the whole Kobe farewell tour. And just, I saw you explaining to someone the other day, that you just feel like his career ended when his Achilles got torn. And right. This is just, so I guess.
The real Kobe died in April of 2013. This is not the real Kobe anymore. Mm-hmm. No, there's no reason to want to watch the Lakers right now. Even, you could say, oh, I want to watch D'Angelo Russell play basketball, but even this whole weird off-court situation that we're all tired of just makes that a little bit weird now. It's like, oh, he's doing well, but are all the guys over there happy for him? Are they annoyed?
You're like watching the bench to see if they're just like cursing under their breath every time he scores.
Like I don't want to be the guy that looks and tries to examine body language. Is like, oh, is that guy happy for him? Is he being a good teammate? Like I don't care for that kind of stuff in sports. I just would rather assume the best of everyone in that regard. But no, like it's not fun to watch Kobe. I'm not even. I don't think I'm going to get emotional over his retirement, and he's maybe my favorite basketball player ever. That's probably why I could initially consider myself a Lakers fan. Mm-hmm. As whatever, you can call me a bandwagoner or whatever. Although I started becoming a fan as they were getting bad, so whatever.
Blame Tom.
But it's not fun watching him play basketball. It's certainly not fun watching the Lakers play basketball right now. I'm ready for the season to be over. I'm ready for Kobe's career to be over.
What's interesting is that next year or whenever Tim Duncan does retire, I'm not positive he isn't an alien, who might just play until he's 85 years old. But whenever Duncan does decide to hang him up, it's gonna be the same old business with the way the NBA has gone while those two guys have played. And you're gonna have Kobe's farewell tour, which was a damn mockery. Like this hasn't been fun. This has been annoying. I saw Howard Cole wrote about it today for Forbes. It's the way people look at this farewell tour is miles different from how they're gonna look at Tim Duncan, who will probably be in a playoff chase, and at the end of the year just kind of decide, you know what, guys, I'm done. That'll do it. He'll be wearing that baggy plaid shirt that he wears to every press conference, and he's just going to tip his cap and say, I'm out of here. And I would imagine more people are going to look at that and say, you know what, it would have been cool to have a farewell tour with Duncan, but this just feels right. Yeah. To wish this guy into the sunset like that.
I was just assuming that Tim Duncan was going to score an important basket in whatever round this year of the playoffs the Spurs go out in, and then just kind of become one with the Force, just slowly fade away into light.
What's really weird is I remember making the argument a few years ago. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Like when we were, it's stupid. Like who cares? But like comparing Duncan and Kobe all time. I think an argument I made at the time is Duncan had finally regressed. He had like sort of a down year. I don't remember which year, maybe like 2012 or something. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's the start of his decline. So an argument for Kobe is he still looks really, really good. He'll probably be really good for a while until he's done. He has a skill set that's going to age gracefully, et cetera, et cetera. And then Kobe got hurt, and he's just been complete crap since then. And Duncan is still really, really good.
Yeah, you can make the argument that he's an all NBA defensive player.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's craziness.
I know at age 49.
Kobe is legitimately one of the worst defenders I've ever seen play basketball. And Tim Duncan
right now he's one of
right now. But does Kobe have 1 year? Is he older than Duncan by 1 or 2 years?
No, Duncan's older than him.
Even better.
Duncan's 30. Isn't Duncan 39? I said 49. I was kidding, but I think he's 38 or 39.
Duncan's 39, and he's about to turn 40 by the end of the month, and Kobe is 37.
That's insane. That's
Would either of you be surprised if Tim Duncan was like the third or fourth big on the Spurs bench at age like 50?
No, not at all.
It's so ridiculous. They have David West, and like everyone keeps forgetting that because he's like the fourth big on their bench, and they totally don't need him. But he's like really, really good. And he took a pay cut to play there. Like he would be the best player on the Lakers by far.
They barely even have to play Boban, who's arguably the most dominant force the NBA's ever seen. Just saving him for the playoffs.
I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the Duncan Kobe stuff. Although it is a really interesting, I think, dynamic there because of how different the two guys are and the cultures that they brought about in their respective franchises. But we would be here for literally hours, I would think.
Yeah, that's an off-season podcast after Duncan fades into the light too.
All right. So talking about the rest of the game, Julius Randle quiet, 7 points. 6 assists is good, 4 rebounds. I'm looking around though. D'Angelo Russell played really, really well, right? He finishes the game with 32 points. Well, again, yeah.
I mean, we'll just say that caveat's there for any Laker we compliment for the rest of the year.
Well, I had this brief back and forth with Ben the other night, and it was, he was talking about it's hard to tell what Clarkson might be and what Randall might be and what Russell might be. And my point that I was making and that I've been making all year is we have no idea what any of these guys are ever going to be because Byron's such a terrible coach. We have no idea what the system, if they ran even a mediocre defensive system, even a mediocre offensive system, we would have some idea, but we have no idea.
And we've had this discussion before. I disagree with you to some extent on this one because I get what you're saying. Like we can't project how good Julius Randle might be in a good NBA defense or something, and things like that. But at the same time, I still think you can pinpoint a lot of things throughout the season to be reasonably concerned. Example one. Jordan Clarkson just seems completely incapable of staying in front of any NBA player. That might not be an issue that's fixed if you bring in Tom Thibodeau. It might just not get fixed. Number two, that Julius Randle can't score even a little bit outside of like a 1 foot range. That's an issue. You can debate whether the jumper is going to get better. I'm pretty pessimistic on that end. But I think there are things you can look at and be concerned about, and I think it's still fair, even though Byron Scott is your coach. You can still evaluate things in a crappy situation with the caveat and saying, we don't really know, but this doesn't look good. Again, and we had this discussion earlier tonight on Ryan Kelly, and a lot of people...
I was going to say this fully leads us into our next point, where,
I want to say this, and I get what... and I had a very fun discussion with Ben Rosales, who's very smart on this subject. And I get that Ryan Kelly's been in a crappy situation. Number one, he has not had consistent minutes. Number two, Byron Scott is his coach. And number three, for a lot of the last 2 years, he's been playing out of position. I think you can acknowledge all of that and still watch what he's done the last 2 years and say, this guy's not going to be a good NBA player even in the right spot.
Right. I guess I look at the tools. Right. What I look at is the tools, and I look at Clarkson. He has the tools. He's long. He has the physicality, I think, to be decent defensively. Randall, the shot is worrisome. I would agree with you about the questions about Randall ever developing a shot, because there's nothing really to build off of there. There's no rhythm to build off of. He just looks awkward when he shoots a basketball. But I think with Clarkson, I think Thibodeau could step in and give pointers and put in, install a defensive scheme that doesn't make Clarkson look completely liable out there. Harrison, what do you think about the tools and whether or not we can gauge? Because I'm of the opinion, I'm almost hard stanced on this. I'm against trades right now with these guys because of how little we can possibly gauge because of Byron's coaching.
See, that's a little crazy, but you go ahead, Harrison.
I was going to say, I agree with you on that, because I think regardless, their value's at their lowest it's ever going to be right now. I don't know. Well, unless they just are complete busts. But if you assume that they'll at least get a little bit better in any other situation, then you at least have to wait for that, I think.
I would be interested. I guess there are a couple kinds of trades, right, Tom, where you have a trade where you go to a team and ask for, I want this piece, right? Or a team comes to you and says, I want this piece, right? So if a team comes to the Lakers and says, I want Clarkson, I would wonder if I'm the Lakers, hey, what do they see in Clarkson that we don't? And I don't know if we can possibly see anything from Clarkson because of the dude coaching him.
Sure. And I mean, there's also a third type of trade that happens more often than we realize, where these teams talk to each other for a long period of time, saying that they know how they feel about this player. You know, say the Phoenix Suns, they were really high on Julius Randle or something, and they've let the Lakers know that, and so whenever there's some sort of discussion, they call about this or that, and eventually teams understand and find mutual fit for good trades. But I get what you're saying about value being the lowest, but at the same time, you don't think a random NBA team could look at the Lakers situation and say, I can get something really good out of this guy. You know, I think this guy's still going to be a good player. It's still worth giving up value for that guy. Whatever that guy may be, I'm not saying the Lakers, I'm not saying Julius Randle or Jordan Clarkson is worthy of being that guy. I don't know. And I get that you're saying the value's low. But at the same time, I think you can look at both of them and make a case that if you can shop around and see what kind of value you can get for them, and say, if I can get a different good young piece that is a better fit next to D'Angelo Russell, and that's worth exploring. I don't think that's crazy.
Right, and I guess I'm a little jaded on this front because the Dodgers had a pitcher back in the day who they didn't know what they had necessarily, and they wanted a second baseman, and they wound up trading Pedro Martinez for Delino DeShields. And you look back on that deal and you say, good God, what the hell were they ever thinking? They gave up Delino DeShields, who was, I guess, a fairly solid second baseman, but he wasn't anybody to write home about. The only reason people remember Delino DeShields is because he wasn't Pedro Martinez, who wound up being arguably the best pitcher ever. He had that, and what I wouldn't want here is and at the time of the trade, people were saying about Pedro that he was a little too small. We weren't sure if his arm was going to be able to hold up because of the amount of torque his type of motion put on a pitch. With the Lakers, there are those same concerns. Will Julius Randle ever become decent defensively or able to shoot a basket? Same stuff about Clarkson. I don't want to make a move for all right, we'll flip Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo Russell for some borderline all-star because, hey, that all-star is already there. We'll see what this guy turns into.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I've seen the opposite side of that, and that strikes me as being dangerous and falling under the irrational fandom category of just fear, FOMO. You're fearing that you're going to miss out on some awesome prospect that you're going to control for a long time, whereas, say, someone else might look at it and say, maybe that guy's not worth that kind of stance. I don't think Julius Randle is worth the stance of I'm not going to look at any sort of trade for him.
What would you consider a trade for? Like what kind of piece, what kind of value do you think Julius Randle holds right now?
I don't know. I would pick up the phone and I would call Phoenix about Devin Booker and see how they feel about him. I feel like he would be an awesome fit next to D'Angelo Russell. Like, I would still look for a good young piece back. I'm not saying trade it for a late first and a Brandon Bass. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, like, see if there's another young piece that you feel good about that might be a better fit, and see how they feel about your young piece and see if there's a trade there. I'm not saying go out and shop them and trade them right away or anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying I don't think they're of enough value to say, I'm not crippled by the fear of not knowing what they might become in terms of valuing them and trying to compare the value to other pieces.
I guess that's. I mean, I can't say that isn't fair. I think that's a fair stance. All right. Well, we have 2 more points to get to. We'll go ahead and get this moving along. Unless Harrison, you had anything to add on that front.
No, I think you guys pretty much hit all the points.
All right, so we'll go ahead and let you start on this one then. In that the Kamenetsky brothers, I believe it was Andy, tweeted out today that there's a strong likelihood Byron Scott, is back next year, and for me,
I didn't see it, and I want to see the exact phrasing. I'm trying to look it up really quick.
It was to somebody, and I responded to it today. I think I said it hurt my core, Anthony.
It hurt your what?
Hurt me to the core.
Oh, it hurt you to the core.
When I saw.
Uh-oh. Shoot.
What just happened?
Oh, nothing. The Royals gave up a home run. Sorry.
I can't find the actual phrasing, but he made it sound like the likeliest scenario, in his opinion, was that Byron Scott is back next year. So if that's the case,
he said, "I think the odds currently favor Byron returning anyway, but I totally agree with you. I don't."
And he was agreeing with the Lakers, like that if they do hire a coach, it's a splashy hire.
Let me just say this: I try to stay away from hyperbole. I don't know how serious my Lakers fandom can be if they bring him back next year.
I completely agree.
What would be the point of me investing my time in an organization that thinks that he's the right guy to have back? It's pointless.
Right. Harrison.
I'd say screw it. I'm a full-time Wiggins and Wolves fan now.
I mean, he wasn't. At least by his phrasing, it doesn't appear that he was reporting anything. He just said, "I think the odds currently favor." So I guess that's his opinion. I just don't see how they can do that.
Yeah, where would that come from though? If he's not necessarily reporting it, and if he has that opinion, why would he have that opinion and share the opinion? And
to be honest, I'm not really sure. It's just the phrasing doesn't come off like a report. Or like something that he's reporting, and I think if he had something like that, he'd be tweeting it out in general, not as a reply to Kevin Arnovitz. But I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see how they could do that based off of everything that's went on the last 2 years. He's made the organization into a joke on among the fans, and he just he's not an effective coach, bottom line. Like, it would be one thing if he was a great coach that said a bunch of stupid things, but he's not. He's done, by all accounts, a pretty bad job in most facets of his job.
Right. I can't find any tangible way the Lakers improve this year.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that you can point to that his what?
Marcelo Huertas.
Yeah, he did the same thing with the catalyst that he did with Jordan Clarkson last year that his fans love to point to, where he kept him on the bench for the first half of the year, was forced to play him, and then look at the development he did.
Right. I'm with Tom. I can't lie. When I think about the possibility that this guy is back next year, and we have to hear more of this intangible, complaining basically about millennials for a year straight without tangible improvement. And it sets, the first half of this podcast was a concrete example of how this guy set the entire franchise back with how bad he is as a coach. Because if you agree with what Tom was saying or if you agree with what I was saying, no matter what, the conversation speaks to the fact that there's a possibility the Lakers don't know what they have in these guys. And if you have Jordan Clarkson for 2 years and Randall for 1 year of playing and now D'Angelo Russell for basically a full season of playing, and you don't know what you have, your coach failed you, and you can't keep that coach around. Am I right, Tom?
Like, if he's back next year, why would we subject ourselves to that garbage? Like, I don't want to listen to his quotes after postgame throwing players I like under the bus for no goddamn reason other than he has a weird freaking complex about it. It's like he's garbage.
He believes in negative reinforcement. That's just his thing. I think he thinks that the only way that these guys are going to grow is if he, I guess, hardens them into doing so by criticizing them so much, and they're going to fix all their flaws if he just points them out relentlessly. I guess I don't know. That's the only thing that makes sense to me as far as his thinking.
Well, I'll use this as an example. For this exact show, if I have a show with, I had a show with Matt Moore from HP Basketball earlier in the year. After the show, I just really quickly asked, "Hey, what did you think?" And if Matt used the Byron Scott approach of, you suck, you should maybe consider a different thing. I would probably stop podcasting, and I think it'd be a mistake because this is at least fun. I don't know if I'm good at it, but I know it's at least fun. And Harrison, when you and I have had these shows, from day one to now, there's been improvement because I've been honest. If I thought there was something that you needed to work on, I'd say, hey, maybe consider this, right? But I wouldn't say, Harrison, you're terrible. I want
you say that every single day on Twitter.
But if I say that, it's being obviously facetious.
I know.
And he says the same stuff I say about you, but he's not joking. And how is that conducive to any of these guys getting better? And I completely agree, Tom. There's no reason to watch if that's the guy that we're signing up to watch year in, year out.
He's garbage. Like, sports very rarely makes me I wish him personal failure and sadness. I do not like him. I do not like him as a person. I do not like him as a coach. I do not like him as a former athlete. I do not like him as a talking head. I do not like him as a leader of young men. I do not like him as a face of an organization.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
I do not like them, Sam. Like, he's such trash, and he's such a dick, and he does nothing. Like, what does he do? What is one's not just for a second? Don't evaluate him as an overall coach. What is one good thing he's done in his time as a Lakers coach? Like, one good thing. Give me one. Exactly.
That was well timed, guys. We nailed that one. But I agree completely. And this kind of takes us into our next point, unless anybody else has anything to add to it. But I think we nailed that pretty well on the head. The wrongest I think I've ever been talking about anything is when Byron was hired. I said we need to give this guy time because that consistency in that role is productive, and it's impossible to be successful as a franchise if you're just going head coach after head coach after head coach after head coach every 2 years. But I couldn't be possibly any wronger on that. I couldn't have said anything dumber now looking back because this guy can't be around next year. He just flat out can't. He continues to hurt the franchise by being around. Let's go ahead and talk about the wrongest things we've ever said and end on a slightly lighter note. Let's go, Tom. This was your idea on Twitter. I'll give you the first shot at this.
Well, the first one I brought up was I was pretty convinced Derek Williams was going to be like a legitimate star. Like, he was ridiculous in college, and he was so athletic, and he could play the four without being overmatched, and he hit like 50% of his threes. I was like, dude, that guy is going to destroy everything.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he's actually really bad.
Harrison, do you have an example?
I thought that the one that I shared on Twitter was that I thought that Roy Hibbert was the rim protector that this Lakers team needed, but that was like I mean, that was a pretty common misconception. So I'll throw out another kind of closer to it's. I guess maybe it was common at the time. I don't know. A lot of people probably wouldn't admit to it now. But when the Lakers traded for Dwight Howard, I thought that they were going to challenge the Bulls record the first year.
Mm-hmm. That's that. I was on that. That was actually one of the examples I was going to bring up. I thought
the Lakers we could talk about forever about how wrong everyone was, but
what's that?
Yeah,
we could talk about forever how wrong everyone was on that. But I remember thinking at the time, and I hate myself for not trusting myself and my brain more than this. That sounds like a bad humble brag, but no. Like I remember thinking, I was like, well, wait. Well, who's going to play defense on that team? Nah, whatever. They're just going to destroy everyone. Who cares? And
who's going to guard them?
Every single person. It's not me. It's not us. Like every single person forgot to stop and think like, wait, that's a pretty old roster. I'm not sure Mike Brown's a good coach for that. They probably can't play much defense. If they're relying on a Dwight Howard coming off back surgery to do all of their defending, it's probably not going to work. Like, none of us stopped and be like, wait a second.
I feel like...
Yes, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, let's go.
Exactly. I feel like people mention that stuff in passing. They were kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, there may not be the best defenders on this team. Like a rapidly aging Meta World Peace is their best wing defender. Dwight's coming off of back surgery. They kind of mention this stuff, and then they have Tom's exact reaction from a second ago and be like, but oh my God, did you see they got Dwight? They have Dwight and Kobe and Powell and Nash, and it's going to be crazy. They're going to win every title ever. They're going to go undefeated for the rest of time.
I looked at it as the one concern I legitimately had, and I think I voiced it. I think at the time I was writing for Rand Sports, but I said I was concerned about Nash being away from Phoenix's physical therapy staff or training staff, right? I was concerned that, you know, were they the miracle workers that they appeared to be while he was there, and it was a freak accident, it was a freak injury, but he was never the same after that. But I also believe I'm on the record in saying that if everybody stayed healthy, this could be the greatest team ever assembled.
Yeah, no, that team could have been very good either way, but we were still very, very wrong about which direction they ended up going. I mean, to pick another one, I thought that Kobe was going to be an efficient role player this year. I thought that he was going to take a step back, let the kids drive the car, and just kind of like work a little bit off ball, do a little bit of post-up stuff. And he did it in the preseason. He tricked all of us. Mm-hmm. And then the regular season started, and he's like, all right, my time to shine. Let the kids have the wheel for when the games didn't count. And started jacking 30 shots a game to start the year. And it's just
on the Kobe front, I was actually pro trading Kobe when he was doing his trade demands.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was all on board on get what you can for this guy. He's never going to be happy. He chases Shaq out of town, and now he wants the world and everything, and he's asking to be traded. And I was like that scorned lover. That's the moment I was at that, or the frame of mind I had at the time. I was significantly younger, and I was. Boy,
what was the trade you wanted? Come on, you already admitted this. You got to admit what trade you wanted.
Well, Chicago at the time was offering, I think it was Luol Deng, but then Kobe wouldn't accept the trade if Deng was in it. Yeah, and at the time, I think I said like, I wasn't very educated on the subject for one thing, so I was pretty much just saying, all right, fine, if he doesn't want to bring Deng on board, just make some other, bring in a third team and trade this guy for a ham sandwich. Get this guy off of the Lakers. He's not a winner. He's a prima donna, and I'm glad I wasn't writing at the time because.
Oh man, you went full hot take, Dad.
I did. How old was I?
He doesn't know what it means to be a Laker.
What?
That was like 2 years ago, so probably like 40. Sorry, we haven't had Anthony's old joke in a while. I had to slip one in.
What do you mean joke? He is old.
I was a solid 35 at the time.
He's
I
gonna
was
be at
really
your
immature.
retirement home soon, Tom.
Oh man, but yes, that's the wrongest I've ever been because as we all know, they wind up keeping Kobe in that very year, going on to make the finals. Like that's about as stupid as somebody can look, I think. Tom, do you have any other ones?
I'm sure I do. Give me 1 second.
Harrison, while Tom figures one out, do you have one off the top of your head?
It's not even like I thought Shannon Brown was going to be much better than he ended up being. Is another
Mm-hmm.
one that comes to mind. After he had that playoff run in 2000, it was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that he was going to be a really solid, like possible six man of the year candidate going into the next year. I was like completely enamored with Shannon Brown, and
Mm-hmm.
it just turned out that you can have unsustainably hot shooting for a little bit.
Oh, I was all on board the Derek Fisher train. I thought Derek Fisher as a coach was going to be marvelous, and
to be fair, we don't even know that he wouldn't have like he could very well get another job and figure it out. It seemed like in a lot of ways he was making progress, not necessarily with his relationships with the players, which is important, or maybe he was taking those a little bit too far, allegedly. But like as a coach, like schematically and like rotation wise, he seemed to be starting to get better. But the whole "put my pants on one leg at a time" speech thing, like that should live on forever with Brian Shaw's rap scouting report.
and no, and then I would say not only the putting his shorts or his pants on one leg at a time, but taking them off two legs at a time. You would
think.
When you guys get a second, you should look up Quinn Snyder Master Motivator, and it has like some behind the scenes stuff for when he was at Mizzou, and it's just so bad. He's just like, when you rebound like this, and it's the Mizzou Tigers. It's like when you rebound like this and you defend like that, and you come together as a team. That's when you become Tiger tough.
Oh my God! It was a motivational commercial.
All right, yeah.
Tiger tough.
So see, guys can stop being so corny and figure it out eventually.
Well, I think Quinn Snyder also had the timeout that was not heard around the world, right? Where he didn't say a thing. He just stared at his players for a whole timeout.
Best.
That was incredible. He looked like a serial killer.
I'm all on board with Quinn, NBA.
Quinn Snyder looks like a crazy person. Like he's probably a nice guy, but he just looks like a lunatic.
He always looks to me like he just like stumbled out of a bar.
Most of you people know, but like Quinn Snyder is openly mocked around here in the Kansas City area just because he was so bad with Mizzou and train wreck. And the worst part about Mizzou is they chose to hire him over Bill Self, and now Bill Self is like maybe the best coach ever at Kansas, which is saying something. So it's pretty funny, Ron. It's pretty funny to me that he turned out to be a good NBA head coach. I find it very amusing.
That whole college pro dynamic is really hard to figure out.
Yeah, that I was very wrong about. Well, not very wrong about, but I'm a little ashamed of how hot takey I was. I was sort of, I was one of the people that overly trashed LeBron when like he hadn't won yet. And a little bit of it was antagonizing my former college roommate, who was a huge LeBron fan and was also a little bit dickish about it at times. And I sort of like my defensive Kobe sort of stepped up and he would be like citing this stat and this and LeBron's getting more points, rebounds, and assists per game on a better field goal percentage. And I was just like, but what has he done in the playoffs? I don't know. All good make the playoffs. The only thing that matters is how you do in the playoffs. So therefore, Kobe's better. And he would get so mad. It was glorious. And then in 2011. I still think it's one of the strangest occurrences in sports, that performance he had against the Mavericks where he basically just disappeared and gave that must have been like the worst nightmare for all like the intelligent basketball bloggers and writers that if it like no LeBron actually is amazing, he is the best player in the NBA, and just all the people were like don't have any rings, and then he just collapses in the finals. That must have been awful for the
It's known around the world as the day Skip Bayless was right and the internet burned.
Yeah.
It was. I wish Twitter was more prominent. Like, it was still a thing, but it should have been more prominent then because people would have been. Actually, 2011 it was pretty prominent never mind, I take it back. But I wish I was more involved with Twitter back then because I would have gotten a lot of amusement out of everyone.
Any other ones, Harrison?
No.
I
don't think I've ever been wrong other than those things that I specifically mentioned, like in my entire life.
Well, I'll say this though, is that because I think there is some of this going on where like Skip Bayless, you could go back, you can find Stephen A. or Skip Bayless, you can find these files of them saying really stupid things and taking this, being super hot takey, right? Whereas I think a lot of the bloggers and stuff will tend to be a little bit more grounded, and it drives people crazy that those guys make so much money being morons. But they get to be that hilariously wrong and then go home to $1 million house. So, yeah, I was trying to find things I was super duper wrong about, and on the record for being that wrong. And I would say probably I would imagine, Tom, you feel I was being that level of wrong in my Ronnie Price, Jerry West takes.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, don't even start this again.
Just because Harrison didn't really admit anything, I did retweet him earlier saying that he thought Ryan Kelly was going to be a good NBA player. Sorry, I had to throw you under the bus there.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go through old tweets.
Yeah. No, I have some awful tweets, and like, do you guys have the thing? Well, it doesn't do it as much anymore. But when Facebook would pop up, and be like, "Hey, you posted this 4 years ago. Look at how big a fucking idiot you were."
My favorite feature of Facebook.
God, delete every single thing I saw that popped up from like when I was 18. I was stupid.
Yeah, I had to go back through my Twitter and delete all of everything. I actually searched.
Around, you were still like 30, so.
It took forever because I had to actually go into the Twitter archives of 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When we used to
track down the birds they used to actually tweet.
Yeah, exactly. I had to find the old sheets of notepaper and burn them.
Place to place.
I hate you guys. All right, so that'll do it for tonight's show. This was fun talking about being wrong. Speaking of being wrong, Chris Broussard just said it's a near blizzard out wherever he is, and it wouldn't shock me if there was, record high temperatures. The Lakers wind up losing tonight, 102-110, to a New Orleans Pelicans team that might not beat Villanova. The Lakers play again. When do the Lakers play again, Harrison?
The Lakers play again on Sunday against the Houston Rockets at 12:30, I believe.
Oh, great! The Dwight Howard, Kobe.
Goodbye to Dwight.
That's going to be fun.
Real quick, if the Lakers are playing at the same time of Kobe's farewell tour and the Warriors are going for 73, I'm not even hesitating. I'm watching the Warriors.
I mean, I have a job, so I have to watch the Lakers.
I know you. But if you had a choice, would you watch Kobe's and say you could only watch that game? Would you watch Kobe's last game, or would you watch the Warriors going for an NBA record?
I think I still would, just because I've been a fan of his for so long. When I was a kid, that was that was my favorite player. I just think that's something I want to see.
Yeah, and in fairness, I wasn't as it's well documented. I became a Lakers fan, sort of in the middle of the 2011 playoffs, which gives you a good signal of how well things have gone for me as a Lakers fan. But
hey, the 3 years I've covered the team are their 3 worst in history, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah, well, I think it's more my fault than it is yours.
I think you both should be banned into exile.
Is that really a punishment, though?
No, I mean like actual exile, not Lakers exile. You guys got to go to Idaho or something.
Oh, actual exile, you go with Idaho. Oh, man.
That's a shot at Gary, who just popped up again.
Oh, okay.
No, to answer your question, Tom, I'd probably watch most of the Warriors game and then flip over to the Lakers for that last standing ovation.
I guess. But what if it's a close game and the Warriors are? What if it's a 1-point game and the Warriors are going for 73 wins with 2 minutes?
That moment or whatever, I'd still probably watch Kobe.
You hit record, you shut your laptop, don't look at Twitter, and then you go back to that like right afterwards.
I guess I'm not all that invested in the 73 win thing. Like it's a great record and they've had a phenomenal season, but it doesn't move me very much.
It's 73 wins.
I'm not saying it's not impressive. I'm just saying I'm just not that interested in it, you know? Congratulations if they do it, phenomenal. Way to go. But it's just not, it doesn't move the needle for me nearly as much as Kobe retiring. That moment of him retiring.
I would probably be right there with you if he was retiring in 2013 or 2014. Mm-hmm. But I'm just ready for it to be over.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is that we've been waiting all year for it to be over. Okay. And for me, it'd be ridiculous for me to
crack open a beer. Oh my God!
What's that?
Don't any of this garbage anymore. Let's hammer.
Oh, I've already warned people. I'm not going to be of proper mind for that show that night.
Yay!
And that's saying something for me. So that'll do it. Tonight the Lakers again. They lose. They play again. On Sunday, they take on the Rockets, so we have a few days off, a couple days off here, 1 day off between games. One. Yeah, one, a few, two. All right, actually, they have 1 day off before their next game, and then we get to see Kobe and Dwight awkwardly pretend they don't openly hate each other. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if Kobe just actually said like, "Nah, go fuck yourself, you prick." That'd be phenomenal. Then
like spent the whole game just blatantly trying to dunk on him.
Okay. By far the best post Achilles Kobe moment was that Dwight Kobe game where like Dwight like elbowed him on a swing and Kobe just like stared at him and then Dwight did some crap and Kobe's soft. That was like the happiest moment I've been since.
And Kobe. The Lakers won that night too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Blake
game winner.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was great. I thought it was great too when he told Larry Nance, "Hey, accept the challenge and dunk on Dwight."
No, Steve Blake game winner was the next year opening night, I think, or like second game of the season of the year after Dwight left. The Kobe soft thing happened like early last season, I want to say.
Oh, my mistake then. You might be right.
So, all right, again, that'll do it for us. Thank you very much, Tom, for joining us. This was fun and pointing out how stupid we've been at times as sports fans.
You know what? We all love pointing out how stupid you are all the time, so I figured it was time to just give people, a different look on things.
Just get it all out there. Thank you again, Harrison, for manning up. You made it through the show. Your last thoughts before you pass out for a good 24 hours, I would say.
Probably.
I was sleep deprived. Like, when was the last time what was the last time you woke up? When did you wake up?
5:30 this morning.
Okay. I was
Pacific time, and I went to bed at 2:30 last night. So that was 3 hours of sleep, and then I had 4 hours of sleep the night before.
That's bad. Go get some sleep.
All right. I'll talk to everybody soon.
All right.
Bye, people.